Hey.
Another Test Him podcast.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Ian Stones, one of the founders, and I'm joined by my fellow founders, Toby Trice, Michael Close. How you guys doing, all right?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
It's always good to be here, isn't it?
Yeah, doing awesome.
Yeah.
Life's
Cool.
good, right?
Yeah, indeed. So we got a different image on our little screen for those that are watching the video. We've got different backdrop on our screen today. Test Him is all about raising awareness of fertility, male fertility, education awareness, testing, and it ties in perfectly with TTR racing, Toby Trice Racing, and everything that you're doing, Toby. So it only seems right that we dedicate an entire podcast to the whole Racing for Fertility campaign, really, doesn't it?
I feel very privileged. Yeah, of course it does.
Well, a whole episode just to talk about yourself.
Well,
No, but it's a really important campaign, isn't it? And it's absolutely integral to what we're doing with Test Him. The two go hand in hand, and it's just perfect. But I think it'd be really good for people to hear about. Everyone loves hearing about the motorsport and the car and what it's all about, and some of the funny stories of going through cornfields or
Backwards.
we could talk about that. I don't mind.
dodgy starts at Brands Hatch.
It all happens. Yeah, it's motorsport.
A few battle scars along the way.
It's a whole Racing for Fertility campaign, but it's born out of your infertility experience, isn't it? That's a terrible pun as well, isn't it? Born out of your infertility experience.
Yeah, that's a terrible pun, to be fair.
That is a bad one.
Yeah. Sorry, not intended.
It's a yellow card, I think that.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Noted. But yeah, tell us about how you ended up in a racing car.
Gosh, yeah. I guess it all started some 5 or 6 years ago, sort of 2017, I'd imagine, and was probably the sort of time that this all kicked off. So I went through a typical IVF journey that lasted nearly 6 years, and the first sort of 2 or 3 years of that led me into this really weird depression state where I kind of just buried my head in the sand the entire time. Couldn't really admit to the fact that I was going through fertility issues, because why us? Why is this happening to us? And there's no way that this can be happening. We will just have a baby. It'll all be fine. But I was just in complete in denial, because I was embarrassed of the fact that I was going through fertility issues. And yeah, I kind of was on this like really slippery slope, this spiral of, emotions there, because I wasn't talking to anyone. I wasn't talking to my partner. And I just kind of, inside I was screaming for help, but I wanted nobody to see it. It was a really complex set of emotions. And I'm sure if you're listening, you probably can relate to these things. And so I took to the racetrack, is pretty much what I did. I went to my local go-karting track, Butmore Park down in Kent, and went with a friend who also was going through a bit of a hard time. And we openly said to each other, do you know what, let's go and have fun for an hour. Let's just go and forget about life. Let's go and forget about everything, and go and just beat it around the track. We're both massive motorsport fans. We'd gone to Brands Hatch, watched touring cars, and we follow F1. We're hugely into motorsport. So off we went to Butmore Park, and turned up to a kind of race evening with a load of regular members. And we rocked up and thought, yeah, this will be fun. This is good. And got to meet people and had a really, really enjoyable time. My previous racing experience was always on birthday parties or something like that. And I always used to win out on my friends. So I turned up really with the mentality.
Are we talking like your 5th birthday party? Or
way back when. And I kind of went with the same mentality. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do all right. I'll probably beat half this lot. And I was really cocksure of myself at the time. And I think that was just a big bravado thing, because I was just trying to cover up the insecurities I had around fertility. I kind of wanted to be more masculine, and I wanted to try and be this person that was like, I'm fine, I'm all good, I'm brave, I've got this. And actually was the polar opposite. And I competed in this first race at Butmore Park, and I got my arse absolutely handed to me. I was almost last.
Almost last.
My friend that I went with was behind me, so I wasn't.
Oh right. Oh okay.
But it really, really opened my eyes up, because I'm a very, very competitive person at my heart. I've always competed in sports throughout my childhood, and sports have always been a big part of my life. But that evening, although I was very frustrated, it gave me a focus that I needed, because I let off all this adrenaline, this big rush. I could sort of channel some of that really horrible energy that I had into a go-kart and take it out on the go-kart and be really physical and aggressive and you know, it was really good fun. Had a great time. So my friend and I went off to Burger King down the Maidstone services afterwards. Of course, a very healthy snack after racing.
Other fast food restaurants are available.
They are. I should note that. Yes. But yeah, so we went there and we talked about the night and how much fun we had, and we booked on for the next one. And for the rest of that month, I thought nothing more about that next meeting, that next one I'd go to. And it was great because it gave me this focus. Okay, I could kind of think about something other than, you know, what vitamins am I taking? When am I going to my next appointment? You know, is Katie okay? What's next? Are we going to have a child, etc.? I had something that I could go, you know what, there's something that I can enjoy here.
So you're still going through fertility treatment at this time?
Still going through fertility treatment, yeah. And yeah, each month went past, and I got a bit better and better and better. And I landed my first podium some sort of 4 or 5 meetings after my first one. And the race director at the time, Alan Wood, came up to me and said, "Tobes, like, you've only been here like 4 or 5 months, and like, you're quick." And I was like, "Do you think so?" "Oh, thanks, mate. Like, that's really cool." He's like, "Honestly, you're racing against people that have been doing this from their childhood. They're in their 20s. They've got a lot of experience, and you're competing right at the sharp end, and the win's coming real soon. Like, it's just lovely to have you here." And I actually had a bit of a heart-to-heart with him and told him why I was there and stuff. And I think he was probably the only person outside of my like really immediate family and friends that knew about my fertility journey. Yeah, we used to stay after the races and stop and talk to him, and like, he was retired, so he had all the time in the world, and I should have been getting back to Katie. You know, it's just like sometimes the floodlights would turn off and I'd still be talking to him in the race director's office.
Well, you do like to talk, you know.
Of course. Yeah. Here we are now.
Yeah.
Here's the podcast.
You did ask the question.
Yeah.
That's it. And then sort of fast forward another 12 months. I eventually won the championship, and I got voted Buckmore Park's driver of the year. It was a really weird moment because it was such an incredible achievement in such a short space of time in motorsport. But I literally just lost my second round of IVF, and Katie just miscarried like some month or so before. So
heartbreaking.
That was a weird time because Katie and I went to this awards dinner. And had a lovely evening. We actually drank alcohol. I think because we wasn't drinking at all for quite some time. We let our hairs down. We had some great time. Stayed in the hotel. I think we went back to the room, both burst into tears because we were just trying to hold it together. But actually, it was nice to enjoy, me and Katie time, because we kind of were just two souls going through life with fertility treatment. And then I got invited to go and have a go in a Ginetta G40 at Brands Hatch as a kind of sponsor that saw the potential I had in terms of me as a person, someone that I knew, and said, "Look, come have a go. It'll be a really great thing for you to do. You've obviously got the talent. Let's see how you do." So I went to Brands Hatch, really wet, horrible, miserable day, and I was absolutely cacking myself. I was so nervous because I didn't want to crash this car. This is this guy's pride and joy. I've never been on a racetrack other than a go-kart track, and I'm about to drive a race car in the worst conditions I could imagine on a really cold January or February, what it was at Brands Hatch. And I think 3 laps in, I thought, this is absolutely mental. I love this. This is so good. And then moments later, I spun into the grass and thankfully didn't hit the wall. But I brought the car back and said to the sponsor, I said, "Oh, look, I'm really sorry. I hope the car's okay." He's like, "It's fine. Don't worry about it." And I was like, "Oh, this guy's pretty chilled. Okay, like, can I go back out again?" So off I went back out again, had another like 20 minutes. And end of the day, he just said, "Look, like, that was tough out there, but your times are pretty quick. And have you thought about doing this as a thing?" And I said, "Wow, I'd love to. I'd love to dream to become a racing driver. But there's no way I can afford this. This is just too expensive. I'm putting my money into fertility treatment at the moment. And but thank you. That's pretty much how I left it." And so I went away. Met a lovely lady online called Jess Shanahan, who owns a company called Racing Mentor. And I asked her the question, how do drivers get sponsorship? What does it mean? Is it just go to a business, ask for some money, get a sticker on the car, go racing? Or is there more to it? Is there a commercial way that I can make this work? And this was at the time that I was just starting to open up about my fertility journey to my wider audience. And what I mean by that, my small social media following that I had at the time from the karting track. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm really struggling, and I'm getting a few messages coming onto my Instagram account and through text message of other people that are going through fertility treatment. And I was getting asked advice and bits and pieces. And I thought, do you know what? There's actually something I probably could do with this. and then Racing for Fertility was born. I made the mighty scary step of becoming a racing driver and going to the media to talk about fertility and using motorsport to raise awareness. I went to my employer, Southeastern Trains, at the time, and met with my managing director and explained what I was looking to do. And they sponsored my first season. They was the title sponsor of my first season, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And they are still involved with me now, which is fantastic. But we generated this campaign. Southeastern jumped on board. And through that first year, I developed HR policies for the company. I went to BBC News. I went to The Sun, The Times. I went to all these different outlets to talk about my story. And I was so scared about it because now people in the world will know about my fertility journey. But actually... but actually, it was a really like big moment for me because it was the first time that I admitted to myself that we are going through this, and that led for its own set of emotions. A lot of it came out that year. There was times where I was racing around at the track at Donington, I think it was, when I got my first podium, and I crossed the finish line crying my eyes out because if I kind of let's put the cards on the table here. If I go back 12 to 18 months prior to that moment, I considered ending my life. I was in a really low state. Yeah. And here I was just taking the checker flag of a race at Donington Park in a race car, raising awareness for fertility. And the commentator, I didn't obviously at the time because I can't hear the commentator while racing, but Katie said after the race that the commentator, the entire time that I was doing well in this race, he was talking about racing for fertility and why I'm out on the circuit. And Katie apparently was bawling with tears, and my sister and my family were there, and they were all crying and stuff. And we all realised that actually this is really important because in the paddock then people started coming up to us and saying, "Oh, Tobes, we're going through fertility treatment." Or I'd meet a family with a little baby and this is our little boy and we've had him for IVF or whatever. And it became really powerful. I've talked a lot already.
That is an amazing story though, isn't it?
But then the pandemic hit in 2020, and I was unable to race because it was a year that there was lots of uncertainty in the world, and it was a really difficult time for companies to commercially sponsor a race car, etc. And I decided to take that year out just to actually just set myself up again, and really think about what's going on, because this 2019 was an absolute blur.
Because by then, in terms of your fertility journey, by 2019, you'd had 2 IVF cycles?
2 rounds of IVF, yeah. 2 failed. And we decided to take 2019 as kind of a complete pause because we needed to find ourselves again as a couple.
So 2019, you'd had your first win in a Ginetta.
So, my first podium. So I was actually,
first podium.
Yeah, second place, yeah. And, yeah.
But the wheels... Oh no, terrible pun. Oh no, the wheels had fallen off emotionally around the fertility treatment, and the treatment wasn't working. So 2020, you then take a break.
Yeah, took a break.
Forced break, really, because of COVID anyway and lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a kind of year to reset, both emotionally, physically, for hopefully another season race in 2021, and also just sort of taking stock of our fertility journey. Where are we at this moment in time? That's when I met you, Ian.
Yeah, the small matter of a support group kind of got, I was going to say born again, damn it.
Conceived.
Conceived.
We can go with them all day.
Yeah, born again, yeah.
Born again, conceived, whatever. Yeah.
Oh no, this is terrible.
But
yes, we met, and that's when the support group started.
Yeah, and that was a great time, wasn't it? Because we then could talk a bit about my racing journey and how you and I had met, and obviously we were sharing my story through the support group, and that was fantastic. And then towards the sort of towards the end of 2020, that's when I started revisiting our fertility journey again, and with the hope that we'd find some answers. And I had a new strength. I had this new kind of feeling of, okay, well, I've got this now. Like I'm quite at home with where we are with our fertility journey. I know where things are going. The motorsport thing is still around. Hopefully, 2021 I can make another go at the Racing for Fertility campaign. And so I guess where do I go next?
Well, hang on, let's just go back a bit because you haven't mentioned the charity. Because obviously Fertility Network UK were... Yeah,
they
got involved with them in 2019, did you?
Yeah, so they were on the car actually, yeah. So I forgot to... That's a really important note.
Yeah. Started talking about the support group. But
because I've kind of missed that. What is the support group and how it's happened? Yeah. So Fertility Network UK, the best charity, right? They're the coolest. They're the coolest out there, helping couples out with fertility support. But no, so Fertility Network UK supported me through kind of counselling, and I used their support helpline, their website for advice, and they were really good in that phase of my fertility journey. And so I kind of partnered with them and said, look, I'm doing this in the media. Do you want to be involved? And Fertility Network UK were on my car, and kind of raising awareness for them, and we've managed to raise some funds, which has been great, because obviously everything with the charity is all voluntary. Everyone that's there is all doing goodwill for all us couples that are going through the fertility issues.
So that led to the support group. So, but piecing this all together now. And your year out, and we started the support group, and then you're about to say 2021.
Yeah.
And what year that turned out to be.
Yeah. So 2021. So prior to 2021, I had my DNA fragmentation test done, realised I had a varicocele, and went to have surgery for varicocele repair. So actually it was probably quite a good year that I sat out motorsport, because it gave me a chance to regenerate. Racing's really hard on your body and mind, and it gave me a chance to get energised again, have the treatment that I needed, the surgery, and plenty of time to recover. And then I was looking at building 2021 into an almighty year. That was the plan. Let's make 2021 the year. Let's make it incredible. And I remember speaking to Gwenda at Fertility Network UK about kind of I want to bring on fertility-based companies that actually want to help people out going through fertility journeys. People that have the same mindset as me, that actually want to encourage people to get tested, get the right support. And that's when Gwenda introduced me to Michael here. And Michael and I spoke, didn't we?
Yeah.
Sort of late 2020, was it, or early 21?
Yeah, it was before the following season, wasn't it? And we got introduced just to have a chat about different different things and bits and pieces of what can be done. And I think it just led into the next bit of the story, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. So Michael from Logix Pharma, and one of my great friends, another Michael from Railscape, we had some conversations around kind of what I want to do for the next year's campaign, to enter another Ginetta championship. Actually go for a championship this year, go for something big, because my ambition in motorsport, once I'd kind of realised racing for fertility, was my driving force to get there was going through the fertility issues, turning all those negative, those really hard feelings I had into something positive that together we can all feel great about. And I always continued to use that energy in everything I did. So I spent hours and hours and hours on computer, trying to raise the budget, speaking to people. I spent hours and hours on sim, training, running, working out, doing everything I can, because I knew ultimately if I could become the best athlete I could get to, then if I could win a championship, that championship's going to be dedicated to all those couples that are suffering from infertility. And that's always been my driving force. Fantastic. And it will always be my driving force. Michael from Logix partnered up with me, Railscape did, and a few other companies that got involved, which is really, really great that everyone managed to support my campaign in 2021. And what a year that turned out.
What a blinking year. Yeah.
Wow, that was
I was very naive at that point at what motor racing, what it meant, and what the buzz that you could get out of it.
But because had you been to a race circuit before that?
I had. I've been to sort of like Formula One just as a spectator and things like that, but not to the level at which we got involved with you in 2021. I mean, it was just absolutely fab right from the start, because it is a family, isn't it?
Massive, yeah.
And actually, let's bring Michael in a little bit more into the conversation, because why did you want to get involved? Why was it so important to you? So Toby's created this whole kind of campaign, Racing for Fertility. Why did it resonate with you personally and with Logix Pharma, and you got Logix Fertility? Yeah,
sure. I mean, Toby's story is not too dissimilar to mine in terms of the journey path and the despair that you go through when you're trying to conceive. So, it really struck a chord with me, because it was exactly the type of story that I had going through fertility challenges with going through IVF. And we went through 2 rounds of IVF. We had 2 failures. Nothing was really explained from the male factor side. And, there was a huge amount of emotional, sort of trauma that we went through as a result. And because of, where we were of our age, we were not eligible for NHS sort of treatment. So everything that we did was being financed personally. So every time you're getting, a negative result or a negative impact, or, the embryologist rings up and they're telling you the story that unfortunately that cycle has not worked, it's like, oh my God, and the world crashes in on you, and everything just goes bonkers. However, looking beyond that, and my journey path is a little bit further ahead than where Toby was. It's one of the foundations of why I started to work in the male fertility area. So I've had the very fortunate sort of background and career of working in the pharmaceutical industry for a very long time. Worked with some very good big blue chip companies, and set up my own company 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, with Logix Pharma, and that's been specialising in paediatrics actually, to help those kids with rare and metabolic diseases to be able to thrive and to survive, really, I suppose. But latterly, for the last sort of 6-7 years, we've concentrated a lot of effort on the male fertility side, which was one of my issues. I was azoospermic. When I was trying to conceive, we went through 2 rounds of IVF. My history before that, I had undescended testes. Never was counselled about the impact that undescended testes would have on your fertility later on. And it was just a cascade story, which I've heard so many times subsequent to my own story. But at that time, I was the only one that I knew that had this condition, and the reasons why we needed assistance in our sort of fertility sort of journey, which unfortunately didn't really happen for us. But teaming up with Toby's story, I said, my goodness, we need to do something here to raise the awareness, because I'm not on my own, Toby's not on his own. And there is a massive campaign, and we're already sort of 2-3 years in as a company, supporting the charity in many ways, and raising money, raising awareness, helping couples to try and conceive, as well as trying to support the business growth. And we have a number of different diagnostics and different sort of treatments that are available for mainly targeted towards physicians to actually help their patients have a better outcome. So, for me, it was a logical discussion after being introduced through the charity, through to Toby, to say, let's team up, let's try and drive this awareness. Nobody in the market.
There's been loads of them. I just haven't pulled you all up on them.
We're going to have to have yellow cards for everybody, aren't we? But nobody really was working in this area of male fertility to drive the awareness, and certainly to look at how we can change the landscape of that. So, I absolutely applaud the mission and vision of what Toby was trying to do in his racing career.
So that was it. So you were hooked.
I was hooked.
You had no idea what was coming, did you?
Oh
really?
my God!
Think about where we are now.
Wait to see what happened next.
Yeah.
So
Wes
I
can explain that.
Yeah.
So you guys obviously got together, and I remember actually then, because the first race of that season was Brands Hatch.
It was Brands Hatch, yeah.
And that was a cracking weekend. So I was so excited driving up that morning. I couldn't wait to get there. Honestly, I was like, come on.
Because that was the first time you was coming to
First time I come to you. Yeah, see you race.
Yeah.
It was only the second time I'd met you, because the first time was in the summer before doing your fragmentation test.
That's right, yeah.
And then bumped into you, Michael.
Yeah.
We met for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, blimey, this is another side story, but by September, October, we're setting up a new company, the three of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you were driving a new car that season as well, wasn't you?
Yes,
you
it's
moved
a
into
brand new car.
New car,
yeah.
new championship.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
I was bricking it. I was nervous as. I mean...
Yeah, but what happened at Brands Hatch, blimey?
Yeah, so pre-season, any normal racing driver would have maybe 10 to 15 days out in the race car, getting used to it, understanding what the controls do, understanding how it feels. Can I drive it fast? Am I going to be competitive? Can I compare some lap times? And this particular season, I didn't have the budget for that. We didn't get the car until quite early before the season. We got it quite late before the season. And I had a couple of days in the car just to get used to it. Literally, I fired it up at Blyton Park for the first time. This big 3.8 litre V6 or 3.5 litre V6 monster of a car. fastest thing I've ever driven. You know, my daily driver is a 530 diesel BMW, perfectly boring. Gets me up the motorway. And yeah, here I was at Brands Hatch, having only driven the car twice, so probably spent the best part of maybe 2 and a bit hours actually driving it. And you know, it's like when you get a car for the first time, it takes a few drives for you to get used to
work out where the windscreen wipers are,
That's
and
it.
you know how the aircon works.
Yeah. And I remember sitting down with Andy from SVG Motorsport, who kind of believed in what I could achieve. And I sort of said to him in the morning, I said, I'm so nervous about this. I said, it's your got I don't want to crash it. I want to keep the car in one piece. That's always been my priority. I want to make sure I bring a car home. I want to win. I'm here to win. But I have no idea how quick I am yet. I don't actually know. And qualifying happened, and it went well. I definitely had time left in me. There was definitely time on the table. But I remember seeing Russ. So Russ was the guy that I originally karted with. He's on my pit wall. He's always been there and been on my pit wall. And I remember seeing him at the end of qualifying when I went down towards Parc Ferme, and he's pointing about my pit wall with one on it and just fist pumping. I can see tears rolling down his eyes, and I just went to him, what is up with this guy? What's up with him? Then it dawned on me that actually I just qualified pole. I've just got my very first pole position in a brand new championship with some really good drivers, and I could not believe it. That weekend went on to 3 race wins.
Yeah.
And what a dream start that was.
Brilliant,
into a season. Yeah. Everyone was buzzing. I remember feeling the pressure of the third race because my starts were pretty appalling.
Oh, yes.
I remember that.
I think I did hint at that at the beginning of the
they were pretty bad.
episode, didn't I?
Head over to my YouTube channel, Toby Trice Racing, to have a little look back at that, because they were shocking. But it was hard to get the thing off the line. I was just saying. And that set me up for the season, really. But I guess there is a trigger in the story. So if you're if you do get triggered, please fast forward a few minutes. But Brands Hatch was a really, really weird weekend for me, because I can tell this now, because at the time I couldn't. So the surgery that I had from understanding the DNA fragmentation, and that obviously that I was technically classed as infertile, had the varicocele repair in December. Led for me to have the recovery for 3 or 4 months to get retested, and we said that we'd get retested, get rebooked. But at Brands Hatch, literally, I think it was like a short while before, I can't remember the exact date, but a short while before Kate and I found out that we were expecting after having the varicocele repair, which was really special, because we were just about to embark on to season 2 of Race for Fertility. We had to keep this secret to us, and with all the pressure of trying to, get the campaign launched and be successful as a driver, I had all this noise in my head and all this kind of excitement. I was like, oh my God. But at the same time, I had all this fear, because obviously it's very, very early doors. We were really early into our pregnancy. Yeah. So I had this almighty fear, because previously, up to this point, we would lose our baby. So it was a really scary time. And Brands Hatch was just like a volcano. Felt like it was erupting. It was it was crazy. Yeah. But nobody around me knew this other than Katie. Nobody. So when we went home after 3 races, we just burst into tears. We just cried our hearts out.
There's been a lot of crying, hasn't there?
Yeah, it really has. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And so if we move throughout the season, the success just kept coming. I managed to get, I think it was 8 wins out of 12 race starts, and we became champions. Became a Ginetta GT Academy champion. Yeah, which was wow. Even now, to say it still feels pinch yourself down. Pretty mad, yeah. And we all went off to the Ginetta Awards dinner. We had a great time.
We did.
Had a really good fun night.
Great night.
Big celebration, wasn't it? It was really great to get everyone together. Yeah, it was awesome.
Not such a good next day, I don't imagine, but
well, I was pretty bad the next day, let's face it. So I'm not really an alcohol drinker, and I might have had a swig of the champagne once I'd won a couple of races, but certainly throughout the season I don't drink. A cup of tea's the limit, really, I suppose, if that's as hardcore as I'm going to get with some caffeine. But yeah, I had
flashing your stuff on the dance floor.
I was. Yeah. I think Michael remembers that.
It's just unbelievable.
Moving on.
It was just yeah.
Blurry.
Yeah, it was just really good fun, wasn't it? And
great evening.
Yeah, it set the tone for what happened next, doesn't it?
So then so champion 2021, and then for those watching the video, you can see the new car that came for 2022.
Yeah. So this was a mad one, wasn't it?
It was mental.
So like my dream within racing is to be a Porsche racing driver. I think that was very much one of my kind of early ambitions, because the brand Porsche represents a lot about what I'm about, and the vision that I've got kind of going forwards with the fertility campaign. And we got invited in November, wasn't it, of 2021, after winning the championship, to drive Porsche's very, very new Porsche Carrera Cup car, 992 GT3, which was insane. I'll never forget that experience. The fastest car I've ever been in, the most grip it's ever had. It's just crazy
and
car.
at Silverstone as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Formula One, yeah.
And we got invited by Porsche to join one of their championships, and Mike and I went up there together and had a great morning, didn't we? Up at Silverstone,
it was just awesome, wasn't it? Because we're in the wing, weren't we?
That's right, in the F1 pits.
In the F1 pits, where all the international sort of F1 goes, and it was just, oh my God, steeped in history and everything else, isn't it? And,
and all you could hear was just these roars of, these 911 GT3 Cup cars starting up and roaring down the pit lane. And again, going back to I felt like a massive imposter. Like even today, I felt like a massive imposter. I'm here with Porsche racing, having a go at a race car, because they think I've got enough talent to drive this thing. And I remember looking at it going, oh my God, don't crash this thing. So I went out and had a few laps. It was wicked. It was a wicked, unbelievable time, and I was buzzing ear to ear. I think I jumped out of the car and literally looked at it and was like,
I think everybody around was, from Andy and from SVG, and everybody was just like going, oh my gosh, what a dream come true, just to be able to drive it around the circuit, be invited to do that.
I know.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Real honour, real honour.
Yeah.
So Michael and I then chatted and was like, right, we've kind of got to make this work, because this actually looks like a real cool opportunity. And so we got our heads together, and you were in, and a similar sort of time, Test Him was born, Tackling Fertility Together.
There's another one of those puns, yeah.
Yep.
I said it. No,
yes.
I've got a yellow card
it's
now.
part of the strapline now, isn't it? It was like,
maybe we need to make this a thing.
Yeah. So Test Him was born, and plastered all over a car.
Yeah, and we Michael had a midlife crisis.
Well, I think I did. Yeah. Well, I had a few choices, and I don't know if I made the right one. Yes, of course I made the right one. Of course, I made the right one. But no, we had the perfect opportunity to have a look at doing it again. Really, to have a look at what you've done in 2021, and actually take that vision and mission of what we tried to do, which was really about raising awareness for fertility. It wasn't about necessarily winning races. Winning races is a bonus.
Bonus.
You created so much of a buzz in the previous year that it was only logical that we moved up a gear, wasn't it?
Moved up a gear.
Another fun. I think we need like a little tick box.
We'll have to listen back to this, and we'll have a little who got the most puns in.
Who got them in? Was it a secret challenge that I'm not aware of?
No, I think it must be a secret challenge, because I wasn't aware of it.
It's just my own little secret.
It's a game now.
Oh dear.
But so we joined the Porsche Visit Cayman Islands Championship, and we got ourselves a brand new Porsche 718 Cayman, which, as you can see by the picture, if you're listening by Spotify or Apple or any other audio only podcast, then head over to my Instagram and you'll see what a beautiful machine we ended up having. It's cracking little thing.
And what's the kind of vision now for tackling racing for fertility? I nearly said the Test Him one then, didn't I?
Gosh,
Tackling fertility together. No, the racing for fertility.
The racing
So what's the mission now? What's the vision?
So I suppose the vision really now is to keep growing as a driver. I'm very, very focused as an athlete. I really want to make myself the best I can possibly be. But the way I see things is that the higher I can climb within motorsport, the more of an influence and more impact I can have about breaking down the taboo with fertility. And that's really the most important thing is getting people talking about fertility, whether or not they've gone through it or whether they are going through it, getting people comfortable talking about balls, nuts, sperm, semen, all those kind of things that, we might shy away from. And so that if there are couples out there, they can feel more supported. Their friend or family might be more aware that because Toby Trice Racing is talking about fertility, they might feel more comfortable so that they can be approached by their friend and say, oh, look, mate, I'm going through fertility issues. Can you help us out? And that's really the core of it. So my goal with Toby Trice Racing is to climb, hopefully, the Porsche pyramid. We can go all the way to Le Mans with the Porsche pyramid, which would be an utter dream because then we're on the global stage. But just meander through motorsport, working up the ladders, winning more championships. That's my goal, because each trophy that I lift is derived from the energy that I'm bringing from all of my previous experiences and all of the couples that are going through suffering themselves, and just make it as big as I possibly can, not from a selfish point of view, only to help people out, because that is exactly why I started. And also just to help out all of the people that are helping me out on track. Commercially, it's really important to keep driving this campaign forward, because the bigger that we can all get together, the more of a difference we can make. And that's really important, because if we look at my personal journey through fertility, you can sort of say that I kind of was, I say misdiagnosed, but I just wasn't diagnosed throughout the process, because I didn't follow the what should be. And if I can influence change through the motorsport program, and with all of the companies that we're bringing on board commercially can help with that challenge, then hopefully the next lad that's perhaps only in his teens now or 20s or whatever that might want a child in 5-6 years time, they don't have to go through what I've gone through.
And exactly the same for me as well, and I think we've met so many incredible people, haven't we, through like the sport group and through the race days that we've had, really, really in-depth discussions with people. And, we know that we are making an impact. And, I think through the campaign this year, it's even more clearer about what driving for fertility, raising awareness for fertility, breaking down those taboos is making. And we had a great opportunity last year. I nearly forgot that we did an awareness day, didn't we?
Of course, our track day.
Crikey,
Yeah.
how did we forget that?
Got lost in puns, that did.
It probably
maybe.
did. But I think that was testament, wasn't it? Really, I think it was November, just at the end of the season.
It was Fertility Awareness Week.
And that's always about November, which is coming up. And we're going to probably do something else. Actually,
we are going to do something else.
We are. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We've worked it out. But what we did, we invited about 10 chaps, didn't we, to the Fertility Awareness Day at a racetrack.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And that day we had a passenger seat in the car. This was in the Ginetta GTA, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So and we just had a wicked time, just trying to stay in a seat and keep your head on your shoulders.
Yeah, keep my lunch in my stomach.
As Toby was like running around this track like a Billio, and what fun we had!
It was great fun. Yeah.
It was a great opportunity to speak to people, and I think that was on the Fertility Network YouTube, and got one of the biggest hits, didn't it?
Yeah, there's videos of that. It was really cool. Yeah, describe a hot lap in 3 words.
I'll
throw that right at you.
I don't think I can. Exciting. Scary, and exciting.
Okay. What about you, Michael?
Oh my goodness.
That's enough.
Yeah, it is just.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was. Yeah, words can't express how fast and scary that was.
What it is, it's not
fast, furious, and scary. I think. Probably the 3
It's not the speed; it's the deceleration. That's the thing.
Everyone says that.
Yeah. It's the turn. It's
like
the corners.
It's
those corners, isn't it? It's that. Power on the brake, power on the accelerator, and go. And it's everything's moving.
Yeah, because I think when people watch cars go around a track, they think that they just sat in the car,
yeah,
like you do down the motorway. But it's really physical, isn't it?
That G-force that you have is unbelievable.
Yeah. And this year's car's like way more wild than last year's car. It's
joy.
Oh yeah, you're in for a ride.
So we're doing it again, but in a Porsche.
In a Porsche.
Exactly.
In a Porsche, yeah. So listeners on this podcast, it's probably worth noting actually that throughout some of our episodes, we may be announcing people that come along, or we may be announcing when we've got events coming up. So if you do tune into future episodes, we'll maybe letting you know where you can meet us, and if you can jump in a Porsche race car, which is a bit of an experience.
Or look on our website, because we might have it on there.
And how do people follow you and your racing, Tobes?
So you can follow me at Toby Trice Racing. That's where all my racing content on there. I have a YouTube channel as well, Toby Trice Racing. But yeah, come visit me on Instagram. That's mainly where I'm at, because it's pictures and videos, and it's quite cool.
Or come visit us at the track.
Come visit us at the track, yeah. Head over to my website, tobytriceracing.com. That has a bit more information about where I'm racing, what I'm racing in, and kind of a bit more about the journey with kind of our current headline sponsor, which is Testing, obviously all down the side of the car, which is awesome. But I just want to come back to the Fertility Awareness Day actually quickly. I found really, really fascinating about that, because I got strapped in the car quite early in the day, got out for lunch, had a refreshment, and I'll strap back in. I was in the car most of the day. I was probably the most unsociable person there, I think, not really chat to anyone because I was scared to do the hot laps. But what I found really interesting was actually at the beginning part of the day, we all knew why we was there. We was there as a male fertility awareness day to raise some money for the charity, to raise some awareness about male fertility testing and bits and pieces around it. And it was all guys that are currently going through or have been through fertility issues, wasn't it? So it was a men-only day.
Yep.
In this world, that seems really strange to say, but it was. It's for the guys that are going through it. And the beginning part of the day, it was kind of like there was not much conversations. There was very small groups popping up, but nothing was spoken about fertility. It was everyone was talking about the race car. We had a simulator, people having a go at that, and it was really nice. But I think because I'd been in the car most of the day, and then it wasn't until the late afternoon that I actually got out and was like actually talking to people that was there, going, hello. Nice to catch up.
I'm your racing driver.
Rather than a one-to-one.
Rather than one-to-one. Yeah, via a microphone screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because by the end of the day, I was listening to conversations of guys that were talking about their infertility journeys, what they're going through. They were helping each other out. There was advice that was being sort of handed out from Michael, from Ian, from myself, and before we knew it, it was getting to the point where it was like, we've got to go, like the Silverstone's shut. Yeah. And we were all just like really keen to talk about fertility, but again, it comes back to kind of my Racing for Fertility campaign is all about breaking down the taboo, and it's just amazing how bring some people in a garage with a race car, how literally in a couple hours later they can be talking about something so personal and intimate that perhaps they may never share with anyone else, but they felt safe to there. And if we can keep replicating that, I think that's a really powerful thing.
I think that's the mission done, isn't it, really? I know it's only a small group, but, it's growing all of the time.
Exactly.
So, it's perfect.
Good work, that man.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Teamwork, though, isn't it? It's teamwork.
Absolutely. We do this together.
Yeah.
And I suppose, really, that's why Test Him became a thing, wasn't it? Because the three of us kind of just have got the same vision. We really, really want to help people out. Yeah. And, Test Him exists, and we're on a big mission. It's quite a selfless mission, though, as well, isn't it? It is.
Yeah. It's an expensive way of driving awareness, but what an impact, because you're changing the impact of future lives.
Yeah, you really can't put a price on that, can you? That's incredible. And I think we get news from guys across the country that we've supported of some really positive news, and often is a thank you to us, which is really kind. But this is a lot of hard work, right? It is difficult to do all this, but actually it gives us that encouragement that we are doing such a great thing. But it's so lovely to know that we are making a difference, isn't it? And fertility is life changing, whichever way of the coin it lands. It's life changing.
And guys, equally as much as girls, they need supporting.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really what we're all about, isn't it? It's really trying to pick them up and guide them, get the self-care and really just help them along the way.
Yeah,
it's great fun.
And let's see where the Racing for Fertility campaign goes. We've got,
who knows?
When we're recording this, we've got a couple of races left of 2022, and see what happens in 2023.
Let's see where
we've got to keep it going.
Things go. Yeah, but I hope to see you at a racetrack soon.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap up there. But it's been great to hear about that story. I think there's so much more we could go off on from the Racing for Fertility story and your story. But I think it's brilliant. It's an absolutely fantastic campaign, and we've been so lucky to meet you and be part of it and doing this all together.
Likewise. We do this together, and it's feel very privileged to have met you both. It's awesome.
Yeah. So head over to testhim.com to read news and articles and bits and bobs from us, and tobytriceracing.com for all stuff racing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Cool. And we'll see you on the next episode soon.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Take care.